All right, all right. This is First World Radio, and we're going to get into a deep discussion tonight. All right, we're going to let the room fill up on that end, on the Google Hangout. We're going to let the room fill up also on Blog Talk Radio. So we're going to go into life origins, UFOs, aliens, and multi-dimensions. Once again, life origins, UFOs, aliens, and multi-dimensions. We got to get it. We got to get it. All right. For those that want to hear me discuss a topic and build on some information, you know what you can do. You can actually go to the website. And once you go to the website, you can hit me up at 910-364-9099 or either at the email address royalhouse777@gmail.com. All right, hit us up, hit us up. You know what's going on. All right, so get into tonight's discussion. Let me bring on my co-host, but also let me bring on the presentation. All right. Let me go to the lines here. All right. We're probably gonna have to call Brother Fahim. He's not on here right now, but we plan on getting him on here. All right, but let's get into tonight's discussion because we got a lot to go over in a short time. All right, so let's look at this here. Pull up the slide. Bam. Hopefully you can see it. All right. All right, you can go to our website, www.dralimel-bey.com. That's www.dralimel-bey.com, dralimel-bey.com, and go to the section Healing Wings Institute, and you can actually see our online courses ranging from Qigong, Tai Chi, Reiki, pranic healing, reflexology, acupressure, Tantra Kriya Yoga, which is Kundalini Yoga, herbology, herbalism, iridology, and much, much more. All certifications, if you want to take it for a month, is $1,000. All right, is a fast track. All right, we also got the extended classes to 3 months. All right, you can also add in the spiritual life coach training. All right, but you can go to the website, www.dralimel-bey.com, and see the smorgasbord of information that we have there that you can classes that you can take in which that will help you in this life. All right, this September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, we have our Healing Wings Institute event. All right, in which that we also are doing personal as well as also couple retreats. So you can come personally if you want training in any of these energy modalities, or come as a couple and receive the energy modality training. And you can get certified in Qigong, Tai Chi, Reiki, reflexology, Tantra Kriya Yoga, herbology, herbalism, iridology. But this September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, we have our healing retreat, alternative healing, holistic healing, and wellness retreat. All right, 3 days of the most enlightening practical knowledge and application. All right, we will be dealing with actionable information. In fact, the most enlightening information on the planet. All right, you can see that from just the videos in which that you've been watching. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go and do so. All right, it is necessary. All right. Also, if you can, super chat. You know, chit chat. Why you super chat? Super chat and chit chat. Whichever way you want to do it. All right. Also, we have our ancestral teas, where health is herbally yours. All right. We have our herbal section, because we are master herbalists. My wife and I are natural health consultants. We have our diplomas, degrees in that, certifications as natural health consultants. And therefore, if you need any information, you can hit us up for a consultation at 910-364-9099 daily. All right. We normally, our business hours are normally 11 to 7. 11 to 7, because by 8 o'clock, we end up doing these classes. But if you can't get us on the first ring, we'll call you back or try again. All right. So check out our ancestral herbs as well as our ancestral teas, where health is herbally yours. Now, let's get into the information. All right, get the book, Human Devolution, Vedic alternative to Darwin's theory, right? You need an alternative to Darwin's theory. Charles Darwin told you that you came from monkeys, or that you had a now you don't come from monkeys, but now we have the same primate ancestor. But get the book, Michael A. Cremo, who wrote the book Forbidden Archaeology, as well as also Hidden History of the Human Race, co-authored with Richard L. Thompson. Go to chapter 11, outline the concept of human devolution, and he states, we do not evolve up from matter. Rather, we devolved or came down from the level of pure consciousness. Right? See, this is the reason why science is so twisted, because this premise is something in which that they don't deal with. Now it is beginning to start seeing inklings of it within quantum physics. We do see some inklings. However, on a whole, they do not deal with the fact that we come from above, coming down from pure consciousness, infinite consciousness, which I've told everybody this the same thing. You have infinite consciousness. From infinite consciousness, you have magnetic consciousness. From magnetic consciousness, you have super consciousness. From super consciousness, you have subconsciousness. From subconsciousness, you have life consciousness. From life consciousness, you have intrapersonal consciousness. And from intrapersonal consciousness, you have interpersonal consciousness. These are the 7 states of consciousness coming from the level of pure consciousness called infinite consciousness. All right. So we understand that all is the mind. You can get the book. All right. Kabbalion, the 3 initiates. You can get Science, Sacred Science by John Baines. You can also get the book Ancient Future by Wayne Chandler. But the all is mind. The universe is mental. Thoughts leads to the manifestation of things and events. Thoughts create our state of existence and the quality of our experience here on earth. Therefore, be responsible for everything you create by being responsible for everything you think. Because everything is energy. And that's all there is to it. Match the energy of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get the reality. All right, get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. All right. All right, Daryl Anchor. And we understand that. All right. Only Elijah Muhammad told us long before there was ever a Caucasian or white race on the face of the earth, you and I and our fathers were. Not just thousands of years, not just hundreds of thousands of years, not just millions of years, not just billions of years, but trillions of years ago, according to the word Almighty God Allah, to mean that we and our fathers were here. There is no birth record, meaning there is no beginning record of the Black people. They have been here forever, and forever they have. We don't know anything about their beginning, all right? There is no prophecy of any ending to them. This is known. The world knows it. This is Only Bilaj Muhammad, Master Farad Muhammad, now the Silk Peddler, right? MuhammadSpeaks.com. So, all right, I'm not going to read everything, but you get the gist of what we're talking about, because we find that stars are the condensation of the minds of our ancestors who came from a previous universe. At the end of the previous universe, our ancestors expanded their minds beyond measure until it encompassed their whole universe. That process of expansion caused an apparent contraction of their universe until it was reduced to the size of a single planet. Hence that single atom, that one atom, in which that allegedly came forth, that Big Bang. In stages of empty space surrounding the new Earth created the seven substances: magnetism, electricity, light, heat, energy, etc., which eventually formed the new stars after many trillions of years. So you are from the stars. This is known, this is a fact. Everyone has made mention is that everything on the planet is from stardust. However, you in particular is 93% stardust, all right? And the stars are thoughts, all right? And we know that the stars are thoughts. New article came out July 27th, 2017. Could stars be conscious? Panpsychism is the theory that there is a persuasive consciousness throughout the universe down to molecular and subatomic level, all right? And see, consciousness is subtle, all right? And you have to tune yourself into universal consciousness or infinite consciousness or pure consciousness. Is a real subtle form of awareness, all right? You get the book Dark Light Consciousness, Melanin, Serpent Power, and the Luminous Matrix of Reality, right? This is by Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum, all right? Saying the same exact things that we saying, and he put it in the book. I put it in a book also. It's in my book, The First World Order. But right here, he says something very important. He says, visible light is but 7% of the luminous matter, and the other 93% is unseen. That correlates to the fact of 93% of your body is stardust. But it goes unseen because you can't see atoms, subatomic particles, atoms, molecules. You can see giant molecules, which is DNA. All right? But the atoms of the body are traceable to stars that manufactured them in the cores and exploded their enriched ingredients across our galaxy billions of years ago. This is Neil deGrasse Tyson, astrophysics for people in a hurry. All right? He said we're not figuratively, but literally stardust. 93%, as said, of the human body is made of atoms fused in stars and supernovas. The death of stars give rise to life. So not only do we live among the stars live within us. And this is straight from 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Or do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God, and you're not your own, for you was bought at a price. What was the price? It don't matter. Well, actually it does, and we'll get to it in a second. Therefore, glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. So what's the price? Well, Christians believe that this verse is referring to Jesus dying on the cross for us. However, metaphysicians, we understand that stars died for us so that we may live, as previously mentioned. For a star to be born, there's one thing that must happen. A gaseous nebula must collapse. Get the book, The Divine Spark, Psychedelics, Consciousness, and the Birth of Civilization by Graham Hancock. By weight, 93% of the matter in your body is born in the body of a star. All right. So we know that the star turns matter itself into the energy of light, agent of electromagnetic force. Light informs us of the world around us and brings us energy. Light is the catalyst in photosynthesis on land and in the world's ocean, where water molecules and carbon dioxide from the air are rearranged in the basic building blocks of the entire vegetable world. During this process, the energy of sun's light is stored in plants and their seeds, and in you, they're transferring to us what we eat when we eat these basic foods and other animals that ate them. This is the energy that powers life and consciousness. We are made of stardust and powered by starlight. This much we know. All right, so the 93%, which goes unseen, taps back into melanin. It taps back into dark energy and black matter. All right. That's Ein Sof, and Ein Sofi That is the manifestation of life here upon this planet. All right. And it goes further. I just found a really, really old picture of you where you were once a star in the sky. So think those dead stars, because without them, you wouldn't be here. The calcium in your bones, the oxygen you breathe, the iron in your blood was all cooked up in stars that died billions of years ago. Right? You look at astral, the definition of astral, and it says of, relating to, or coming from the stars. Astral influences. So astral energy, the astral plane, understand that you came from the astral plane as one of the last higher forms you had. All right. You have 7 bodies. Let me explain. You have your physical body, your ethereal body, your astral body, which is your emotional body, your mental body, your cultural body, your spiritual body, and your soul body. So you fell from the soul plane into the spiritual plane, into the causal plane, into the mental plane, into the emotional plane, which is the i.e. the astral plane, which is also the star plane, coming from the stars, as we just finished showing you. So before that, you even had higher existences. According to blackout through whitewash, she says humanity's first prototype began as a long-lived, godlike, ethereal, hermaphroditic being that gradually polarized into opposite sexes, male and female, and solidified into flesh form. That's what that is. All right, Blackout Through Whitewash by Dr. Suzar. All right, so we understand light code lockdown with, all right, Dr. Phil Valentine, Baba L, all right? He spoke on this many years ago, all right, on light code lockdown. All right, the discovery that mass, Ba, human body, is nothing but a form of energy that forces us to modify our concepts of particles in an essential way. Why? Because atoms consist of particles not made of any material substance. In modern physics, particles are seen as bundles of energy, waves. If something is going at the speed of light, then it must be completely massless. This is photons, or the macabre meditation, all right, which we spoke about before. As objects travel faster and faster, they get heavier and heavier. The faster they get, the harder it is to achieve acceleration. So you never get to the speed of light, all right? Say Roger Russell, a physicist at the University of Melbourne, Australia. Stars are not isolated thermonuclear reactors in space. Instead, Ralph Jurgen explains that stars are positive anodes in a galactic glow discharge. Stars are connected. They absorb energy from the electric universe. So stars absorb energy from the electric universe, and you or 93% star dust material. Hence, you too must absorb energy from the electric universe. Hence, the reason why you have melanin. And this is explained in detail by the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, the cobra or snake, with its ectotherm nature, who used to encircle the sun as the corona. Seen as Ra, it described the reverse temperature gradient of electric stars and absorption of energy from the surrounding cosmos. In short, stars are positively charged anodes that collect negative charges or charge as opposite charges attracts, or what we understand as electron particles and photon particles. All right? Understand, this is how from the wormholes to the 4 levels of the genome DNA molecule, energy arises from wormholes. All right? Chromosomes only appear when called, all right, being to split and multiply. This is mitosis. All right? So the energy comes through wormholes, cells, fuse the nucleus into the chromosomes, into DNA, the double helix, the opposite encounter, rotating electrons in DNA creates a micro Kundalini force, and also the 4 basic building blocks of amino acids, what is called adenine, thymine, all right, guanine, and cytosine, which is Yahi-Vahi. So even Yahi-Vahi was brought into existence through the black hole, through the wormhole. All right? That's our dollar broth, which is talking about aspects of your physical body. That's your DNA. All right? Get the book, Death of Ignorance, New Age Science by Dr. Fred Bell. All right? And he speaks of the fact that during the Jupiter effect, Earth produced waves of disharmony due to GRG, which is growth resistance. All right? We have a growth resistance generation. And so cosmic chi and Kundalini effects is amplified by the Jupiter effects between the planets and the sun. Unfortunately, the chi is disturbed and sent out of balance as it passes by the earth. All right, this is the reason why so much coronal mass ejections, which is solar flares, being ejected from the sunspots, super flares, mega flares, is being produced from the sun, is because it is eradicating this growth resistance generation. All right. So we know that in quantum physics, astrophysics, actually, we have beyond prophecies and predictions by Myra Timms. And this is coming from the Journal of Biological Physics now. They state, right, this is Stillwater, Oklahoma, United States, 1989. States, scientists have found that the streams of energy from stars travel in specific directions, either up or down the galactic arm in which they are embedded. Stars are polarized to other stars, both negative and positive, or some receiving energies and some sending it out, all of which travels on the path of the magnetic field line. All right. The recent findings reveal we are downstream from Sirius in the part of the galactic arm our solar system resides in. New energies are flowing into the Earth at an unprecedented degree. Sirius transmits energy, highly charged photonic light particles to our entire system via the magnetic field line. Hence, we are literally receiving energy from Sirius. All right. And in the Quran, chapter 53, Al-Najm, which means the star, it states that, and that he, Allah, is the Lord of the Sirius, the mighty star. All right. So we know that that energy comes down and you have ley lines and earth grids, all right, connected by all of the ancient sites. So the Earth crystalline energy grid, so-called Russian grid, treating the Earth as if it was a gigantic crystal, because it is. It's living. Right? And as this energy comes down, comes in, all right, as we showed you, through a black hole into, now understand that this black hole that we talk about sits at the center of our gigantic sun called Alcyon, which is at the center of our galaxy. In the center is a black hole. All right. And from that black hole creates other wormholes in which that produces these particular life organisms or what we refer to as substances. All right. Such as the amino acids, the base for life. The ancient understood as life force principle in nature was scientifically revalidated in 1986 by a Sydney-based energy research team. They rediscovered a hitherto unknown low energy spiraling electromagnetic fields, an expression of our fundamental background field, and found to be responsible agent for form, growth, development, and behavioral patterns in nature. It's called the morphogenetics. So a morphogenetic process in low energy electromagnetic fields. This is ST and SP Basamian. All right. And once again, you can go check out the Journal of Biological Physics. Right. But here we have on the left, 3-month-old fetus called a quantum graph, right? A photo from the quantum field. And was created while the pregnant woman was hundreds of miles away. The image came from accessing information available in only a drop of her blood. So they knew that she was pregnant from the image in which that is shown in her blood. So the blood acts as a template or reflection of the auric field, in which that is the massive template in which that you receive information. All right. The image came from accessing that one drop of blood, and the image on the right is called the quantum gram or hologram of the quantum field, showing 3D characteristics of the fetus. And the details is this, of this provocative imaging technique, plus many more compelling images are only available in Strong Woman Unshrouding the Secrets of the Soul. All right, get that. When you purchase a computer from the store, it comes with the operating system pre-installed. The same way when a child is born, the child comes into the world with their operating system pre-installed. You do not teach the child to breathe, nor do you teach their heart to beat, because they have their involuntary nervous system. Our operating system is pre-installed by our DNA. That's the template. And that template is coming from instruction through black holes or wormholes into those 4 amino acids, which is DNA, hence giving you all of your predeterminations. All right. And you have willpower to determine. The operating system and additional programs installed in the computer are stored in a computer's memory. The memory of the human biocomputer consists of the DNA and the nervous system, i.e. also the brain. The nervous system handles both short-term and long-term memory, which is RNA and DNA first, ultimately stored long-term memory in DNA, all right? And then it moves also into the brain area, right? Or it's from the brain, vice versa. Because remember, Jacob seen angels ascending and descending on Jacob's ladder. So this long-term memory stored in DNA that can actually be passed down to future generations. This is your ancestral family memory and tendencies come from. All right. So this is all part of this morphic unit, all right, of atoms, molecules, crystals, cells, tissues, organs, organisms, and societies of organisms, are animated, organized, and coordinated by morphic fields, which is your auric field, which contains an inherited memory. All right. This is by Dr. Rupert Sheldrake. Right? Understand that. Get the book Forbidden Science From Ancient Technologies to Free Energy by J. Douglas Kenyon, right? He goes on right here. Hypothesis of formative causation consists of morphic fields or morphic resonance. Thanks to Power Rangers and other kids' toys, most of us casually use the term word morph to mean to change into or evolve. Precisely, say Sheldrake, whose work takes off from where the now widely adapted biological concept of morphic genetic fields used to explain, for example, how arms and legs can have different shapes, even though they contain the same genes and proteins left off. All right, that's amazing, right? And what we find out is that the first substance of the universe is magnetism, and is created by condensation. The condensation of what? The condensation of the mind. This is what helps, or what causes consciousness to fall, as we would say. All right. So that condensation of the mind, God's mind in its expanded state equals, i.e., the universe, formed the first substance, which is magnetism. Right? Magnetism condenses further to form electricity. Electricity condensed to light. All right. Electricity consists of particles called electrons, which condense to the fourth substance, which is called ether or space, time. All right. Or we call it the mind of God. All right. But what we do know is that the Vedic wisdom tells us that the soul is our consciousness. All right. And we know that L, which is short for electric and electron, all right, L means power, force, or God, right? Jews, Hebrews, Israelites have L at the end of their names. Moors have L at the end of their names. Electrons, as they move to transform into apparent lines, like objects swinging around and around, with which speed as to form an apparent circle. The apparent lines intertwined along themselves produces the illusion of mass, i.e., of solid, impenetrable matter, of which consists of three-dimensional bodies surrounding us. All right, so this is what happened. The faster, and the faster in which that these lines became, the more condensed and heavy the body became. All right, so hence you came from the astral plane, which is the star plane, down into a physical body, even higher before that, but we starting at the astral body, all right? Because you came by way of a black hole, all right? This appears the solid matter is an illusion created by speed that appears to form the fine webs of lines made by the trace of motion of the smallest material points, all right? So we know that electrons moving from higher orbital shells to lower orbital shells is the origin of light. That's the origin of light. And guess what? There's 7 shells. 7 shells. All right. So we find that quantum physicists have now come to the conclusion, all right, that we are stardust. All right. And that these particles are called also biophotons. A biophoton is called a ultra weak photon emission, UPE. Is light particles that is emitted by all living beings, all living things. It is an aspect of our aura called our bioplasmic body, right? So though it exists in the visible and ultraviolet spectrum, in order for us to see it, normally our eyes would have to be about 1,000 times more sensitive. Right, the photon. So this is what have to be done. So we find that the phantom DNA effects is a case in point. The energy field of a DNA sample remains detectable by the light, laser light, even when the physical example or sample is removed. All right. At a fundamental level, man is pure energy. In wave genetics, the junk DNA function, which is actually melanin, function at a rich infrastructure level of supercodes and wave communication, resulting, in realized in material form as crystalline structures, dynamic genes, holograms, and liquid crystals of the chromosome continuum. All right. When these models suggest is that the human genes is part of a larger hologram, multi-universe or multiverse of waves, information, reality, hypercommunications in the form of remote sensing, remote healing, and telepathy is definitely a part of human protocol. Because scientists have documented that the photonic energy of the average human body emits the equivalent energy of a 120 watt light bulb or 120 volt battery or 25,000 BTUs. Each cell emits 100,000 photons per second. All right. And there are more than 76 trillion cells in your body. Also, our auric field or astral body, star body, the higher astral body, spiritual body is eternal. It is equivalent to the lifetime of the universe, which is about 10e22 years. All right. The auric field contains the electronic mass of 4e21 electrons. If we ignore our auric field importance, we will actually be ignoring 9/10 of our existence. Also, the mind exists within the layers of the auric field and is equal to the diameter of the universe, which is 76 quintillion miles in diameter. So we have different dimensions of our reality or apparent reality. Your body, your physical body exists in a third dimension. At least that's what you think it does. It is matter-based. And the fourth dimension is actually the astral plane, which is the emotional base. All right. Together, these two make up what we call the lower creation world. All right. You have the higher astral, which is the emotional astral body. And then you have the lower astral, which is the ethereal body. But these make up together. Right. There are dimensions where the game of separation, this is where the game of separation is carried out. Only in the dimensions can the illusion of good and evil be maintained. And can you feel separate from spirit and from each other? All right. You'll all become quite good at doing this. You've been a very successful, it's been a very successful game of separation, but it is time for it to end. So this planet is now in a state of ascension. It is now vibrating at a very top of the astral plane. In fact, at one time, the Earth or human resonance, the human resonance of the planet oscillated at 7.83 hertz. It is no longer vibrating at that. In fact, back in April, around my birthday, do you know that it reached up to 90 hertz? So the planet is in a state of ascension, right? And it's vibrating at the top of the astral plane, right on the dividing line with the fifth dimension, the light body dimension. All right. This is why we've been talking about the light body and transforming into light bodies. In order to do so, if you can just keep your mind positive, all right, positive for years, all right? We're talking about 5 to 20 years. Some say as much as 60 years. You can go through one of the three levels of the light body transmission or ascension. All right. So in the fifth dimension, you are completely spiritual orientated, meaning you have come into this plane to be light workers. This is why you're interested in Qigong and Tai Chi and all of these types of things now. The sixth dimension holds the template of the DNA patterns of all types of species in creation, including humanity. It is also where the light language is stored and is made up mostly of color and tone. This is what we call gravity, the sixth dimension, right? It can be difficult to, to get a hold of these things that we talk about, because these are, if you go and study hyperdimensional physics, you find that they have found at least 27 dimensions. all right? The seventh dimension is that of pure creativity, pure light, pure tone, pure geometry, and pure expression. It's the realm or the plane of infinity refinement. The eighth dimension is actually of the group mind or group soul, or where you would touch bases, you know, um, with the vaster part of you of who you are. Oh, thank you, Johnny boy. No doubt, appreciate that. Thank you for that super chat. Much appreciation. All right, and so it's characterized normally by the lost sense of the I. You no longer you know me, myself, and I. And when you travel is multidimensionally. It is from this plane where you have the most trouble getting or keeping your consciousness together because you are pure. All right. We operating with group goals so that it may seem as though you have gone to sleep or blinked out. All right. The ninth dimension in this model that we use is in a plane of collective consciousness of planets, star system, galaxies, and dimensions. Once again, it is very difficult to get a sense of I because of so vast that everything is to you. Imagine being the consciousness of a galaxy. All right. Every life form, every star, planet, meteorite, comet, asteroid, all right, and group minds of every species in it is you. Right? It is difficult to remain conscious at this level, what we call individual consciousness. At the 10th through the 12th dimension, basically you have the makeup of the upper creation realm. The 10th dimension is source of rays, home of what we call the Elohims. All right. This is where light is differentiated and the source of the plan of creation, which are basically sent into the middle creation levels. You can have a sense of I at this level, but it won't be what you are used to here. The 11th dimension is that of a pure form light, the point before creation at a state, all right, exquisite expectation, just like the movement between the sneeze and the orgasm. It is the realm of being known as Metatron and of the angels and of the higher acoustic records for this source system. There basically are planetary acoustic records and galactic akashic records, as well as akashic records for an entire source system. You are in one, all right, source system of many. So we are giving you a description of one source system only, this one. If you go to another source system, when you will experience will be different. As an archangel, all right, the home is based in the 11th dimension, all right. Then you have the 12th dimension, is the one point where all consciousness know itself to be utterly one with all that is. There is no separation of any kind. If you tap into this level, you would know yourself to be completely one, all right, with all that is, with the creative force. If you tap in there, you will never be the same again because you cannot sustain the same degree of separation, but you have experienced complete unity, right? So we have to understand is that this is the science of these higher dimensions that you've come from. Normally, we only speak up to 7 dimensions, but each of those 7 is separated by 7 sub-levels, all right? Hence giving us 49, all right? But here, we understand is that from amino acids, it formed into the 6th element, which is carbon, all right, in which that formed man into existence. In particular, man is mind. So we're talking about the mind, which is the breath, made flesh. All right, let's understand what we're talking about here. The flesh was made by the breath, centrifugal and centrifugal force, yin and yang. Right, that's how the flesh came into existence. and the flesh, or the breath rather, is the mind in action. All right. So that's how the mind lowered itself. And so hence we have carbon, which is condensed starlight, which is condensed universal blackness, cosmic radiation, which is condensed infinite blackness or light. Right? Hence, that's what carbon is. Carbon is light because that's melanin. Right? There's no particular word melanin on the periodical chart. That's carbon, the sixth element. All right? And so we know that actually the first figure or form in which that was made was in the form of a woman, right? Do you know that that the woman predated man by at least 150,000 years, and that the oldest fossilized bones ever found were women? All of them were discovered in East Africa, Ethiopia, and even here in the Americas, it was in Brazil, Lucia. These women could reproduce asexually without the assistance of males. This was done by the Reptilian gland, which women still possess to this day. Right? This is why you see semen-like substances coming out of her vaginal area through the Reptilian glands and the skinny glands. Did you know that women could produce semen in their bone marrow? Did you know that the X chromosome is 5 times larger than the Y chromosome? Women created us. Get the book, The Secret of Regeneration by Hilton Otima. He speaks of solar impregnation, and that before the males came upon the planet, this is the reason why it was called sex worship or sun worship, as they are the oldest forms of worship known. The sun was worshipped by most ancient races as a symbol of eternal God. Sex worship was inspired by the fact that within the genitive organs of women, a new person is formed and animated. We have remnants of that to this very day. When women have fibroid tumors, they have examined and taken out fibroid tumors, and they have found hair, nails, teeth, skin, as if the woman was at one time had that genitive or that regenerative process of producing what is called the Immaculate Conception. So it says here is that sex worship was inspired by the fact that within the genitive organs of a woman, a new person is formed and animated, and in due time ushered into the world. No phenomenon is so great as to surpass dysfunction in which women duplicate the work of God principle by the creation of a new person. In the early days when people were more perfectly psychically and physically than now, the Immaculate Conception was a common occurrence. All right, you see in Isaiah, in the book of John, the belief was generally that at the sunshine of returning spring influences the trees to bud, right? Because that's what it does. It causes the trees to bud, the grass to grow. That's what the sun does. So that the sunshine has a similar effect upon the human plant. Thus, the belief in solar impregnation of women still appear among primitive people in all parts of the world. Right, you go to the Admiralty Islanders, tales of women who have conceived by the sun. You have the Kanwak Kyoto claim that their ancestor was born of women who were selected from different tribes by Sinle and the sun, by whom power the woman was impregnated. You had the Nesgats of the Bella Kola Indians had a tradition that the sun married a woman who bore a child. You had the Crow Indians related that the sun once saw on earth a beautiful woman who he greatly covenanted for his wife, whom he married and had children by her. Now, this is the exact same story told to you in the book of Genesis, except they say it was the Nephilim. The Navajo Indians claimed that one of their war gods was begotten by the sun, and a woman who stretched out made upon a rock, and the sun shined upon her and rose, and soon she gave birth. Oh, thank you, Janelle. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Much love for that. Much love. Thank you for that super chat. All right. So this is what is going on. We are behind the times. The ancients been talked about this. All right. Upon her and saw her and loved her, and in course of time, a child was born to her, whose name she called the Sun Child. So hence the reason why the S-U-N, you are named after your father who are up in the sky. Up in the sky. You are the S-O-N of the S-U-N, brothers. In another story, it is stated that the first lord of Lakomba was the son of the sky king, the sun, and a woman of Tonga. That is also a Samoan legend of a woman who became pregnant by gazing at the sun. Yeah, with her vagina. The Chinese and the Japanese believe in the solar impregnation, according to Heartland, who writes, in China, impregnation by the sun seems to have been a common fate of distinguished emperors. A Japanese legend tells of a poor maiden in whose body, as she slept by the shores of the lagoon, the rays of the sun penetrated like shafts from a celestial bow. All right, in other words, like the phallus, and caused her to become pregnant. Right? So, brothers, the phallus, when you have a lot of energy there, all right, that energy is supposed to act like the sun rays. In the ancient civilization of Peru, thousands of maidens dedicated their lives to the sun, being called virgins of the sun. They lived together in communal dwelling places, spent their time in various kinds of handicraft, and never speaking to or meeting men. If one of these virgins became pregnant and sworn that she had conceived by the sun or not by man, she was allowed to live. The child became a sun bride, all right, if a female, and a priest of the sun, if a male. The sun was asserted to have been the father of check this out now. The sun was asserted to have been the father of the superhumans of ancient Egypt. Amen-Ra, the sun god, divine progenitor of the pharaohs of Egypt, is called the reviver. On approach, the character of a queen, she said to Amen-Ra, twice great as thy soul, it is a glorious thing to thee, to see thy face, whom thou graciously joineth thyself to my majesty. Thou do impregnates all my body. All right, this is Amen-Ra replies. The sun was asserted to have been the father of the superhumans. All right, and that's what we're talking about here. All right, the sun. Right, so she who is joined to Amen-Ra, the first of nobles, indeed, thus be the same of thy daughter issuing from thy womb. The sun god is pictured by the Egyptians as descending to the queen's chamber to become the father of a pharaoh. Of this, all right, incident, Plutarch states, the wise Egyptians, not unreasonably, say that a woman may be impregnated by the spirit of a god. Now, Ramesses means son of the sun. All right, the resurrector or the erector. You get it? So we find out is that this is the same exact story told of Jesus in the Bible, in the book of Matthews, that the angel, Archangel Gabriel, Jimiel, came and impregnated Mary. He acted as the Son of God to produce the Son of God or the Son of the Sun. Same story told over and over again. All right, get the books, The Pale Fox, all right, by Griallo and Deterlin. Get the Serious Connections, Unlocking the Secrets of Ancient Egypt by Mary Hope. Get the Serious Mysteries, Was Earth Visited by Intelligent Beings from a Planet in the System of the Star of Sirius by Robert Temple. Get the books, Secrets of the Dogon, Decoding the African Mystery Traditions by Stranton, Lord Stranton, all right? Get the Sacred Science of the Dogon, the key to advanced science in the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. Get the cosmological origin of the myth and symbols from the Dogon, the ancient Egypt to India, Tibet, and China, all right? So we know that the star Sirius, which is called within masonry the sun behind the sun, is what helps propel energy here. Because remember, we sit down from Sirius. In fact, we travel around with Sirius through the 12 zodiac signs every 25,000 years, which is called a renewal of history. Sirius A and Sirius B, which is called Ziggy Tolo, Polo Tolo, all right, travel around each other, flip-flopping, all right? The Dogon say that we came from Sirius. In other words, the constellation Sirius plays a direct influence in the structure of the destruction of the physical body, specifically our DNA, all right? Sirius B is invisible to the naked eye, but packs almost the entire mass of our sun into a globe only 4 times as large as the Earth. Sirius B's surface is 300 times harder than diamonds, while the interior has a density 3,000 times that of diamonds. Spinning on its axis more than 23 times a minute, it generates huge magnetic fields around it. The two stars, Sirius A and Sirius B, Polo Tolo, Ziggy Tolo, move around each other, constantly exchanging particles. Because of this greater density, the magnetic field, right, Sirius B takes the lion's share, right, taking gas and material off of the larger host body. And Sirius B has a super heavy gravitational powerful star made of concentrated super dense matter essence with the number 50 associated with it, describing its orbital period. This is the same that you find in the Old Testament, that every 49.9 or 50 years, you had the 50-year Jubilee period. Sirius A and Sirius B comes also close enough to their orbits, creating huge magnetic fields between them. And as they approach each other, the stars begin to spin and faster with tidal forces becoming stronger, finally flip-flopping over and actually trading places with each other. This energy is gradually released to flow on the magnetic field line to our sun, which transmits its lens, which transmits this energy like a lens to all the planets. Sirius is considered by the ancient Egyptians to be the most important star in the sky, who astronomically, the foundation of our entire spiritual and physical lawful system is based on Sirius. All right. If you look here to the middle, this is from Brother A.A. Rashid, and he showed you here how the energy comes from Sirius, all right, or Soptic, all right, or Sortis, and to our sun, to our earth, i.e. the archetype black man or the Moor, you know what I'm saying, into our chromosome, cells, nucleus, and DNA helix, because this is directly coming from Sirius A and Sirius B. They flip-flop over each other every 50 years. Strange connection with other civilizations. This is what you get. Amphibious, godlike beings appearing in ancient cultures outside of the Dogon. The ancient civilization from Babylon to Greece to even Slavic nations depicts aquatic beings in their mythologies. One interesting connection that some has drawn with that Dogon is that of the Dogon in Japan. All right. Now the Dogon are thought to have arrived in flying ships. All right. Being written, bringing written language and many aspects of civilizations to the Japanese. Interestingly, in ancient Mesopotamian lore, there is a deity known as Dagon, depicted as a merman or fish god. This depiction can also be found and seen in the Hebrew Bible. So all of these connections is talking about from the fact of your DNA via your amphibious semen, sperm, your sperm being amphibious, godlike being appearing, all right, in the semen, which is the ship or vessel in which that is flying in, till actually we find out that there are bases, all right, where there are actually beings held in which that has been manipulated, which I won't get into all of that right now, but let's say this. As you see here from the artwork of the shaman Khadirah Mutua, he shows you what is called here, all right? And notice this was drawn back in back in the 19, before 2000, all right? I can't see the rest of it. I think it's 1999. I can't see for sure there, but as you see, the dolphin giving birth to the humans. That's what you were seeing here. The dolphins giving birth to the humans. So the dolphins, in one sense, is the animals, mammals in which that we come from. They stayed in the ocean, and we came upon the land. Right? Another example of that is what is called the Chichahari, in which that Khadirah Mutua speaks of, in which that allegedly, I won't get into too much of that right now, but we're gonna get into it though. Don't best believe that. But one of the icons on the necklace is a green stone dolphin, right? Inscribed with words in an alien script. Excuse me. Holding a golden tablet in his mouth. The dolphins and the whales are advanced beings that was brought here from the star system what? Sirius. Khadirah Mutua confirms this, as I have also heard this from various other different sources, such as Brother Bobby Hemmett, Dr. Deborah Blair. They are fascinating beings, the way they use sonar, sound, communicating telepathically, and seem to transmit heartfelt energy. So basically, the nomos is not just your sperm encased in semen, but it is also as above, so below, as within, so without. The dolphins, the domos, also the dolphins, the Dogon tribe spoke about never really left. They just simply transformed or shape shift into whales and dolphins. They are nomos in disguise, acting as our angels and guardians. This is what Khadirah Mutua speaks of. He also speaks of, as we said, the Chichahari, all right? And we understand that these beings, cryptozoologically known as reptoids or dinosaurs, are said to be intelligent on par with us, but much older, many times alleged to be the original intelligent race on this planet, evolving from small carnivorous dinosaurs at the end of the age of dinosaurs, 65 million years ago. Dale Russell, visiting professor, right, Department of Marine, Earth, and Atmospheric Science, and senior curator of paleontology, North Carolina State Museum of Natural Science, once published a professional thought experiment in which that he projected what the dinosaurs may have evolved, possibly evolved into if they had survived the so-called extinction event from them being extinct. This took place 65 million years ago. So using this known morphology of the Trident dinosaur, the image that has arrived is identical to that which has been recorded through history by the ancients on rocks and modern UFO eyewitnesses and contactees. This is a startling revelation. If our group of dinosaurs have been survived and evolved into mammals, animals that attempt to reproduce human speech, birds, then it stands to reason that other groups of dinosaurs may have also survived the extinction event 65 million years ago, and also develop a certain degree of intelligence and learn unique communication skills. Right, so this has already been thought about. Matter of fact, this is the article. It says how to build an extraterrestrial. All right, by Decamp and Lay. All right. This is him here. This is the Trident that they've come to the conclusion on. There's another article by Dale Russell. Right, Dale Russell. This is called Dinosaurus, a humanoid dinosaur. A humanoid dinosaur. And I'm saying all this because we're going to get into this real science, because this is doctors, scientists saying these things, not a conspiracy theorist such as David Icke. These are scientists saying this. Dale Russell, discoverer of a Stegosaurus, now called a Tridon or Trudon. Then in the National Museum of Natural Science in Ottawa, Canada, postulated that the later Cretaceous dinosaurs were well on the way to becoming intellectual animals and would have succeeded if the dinosaurs has not suffered extinction. Now, of course, anybody knows that they can go into planet Earth. You didn't have to remain on the surface, right? But anyway, let's go on. It said it has all the ingredients of success that we see later in the development of the apes, the Trident and the dinosaurs. He believed, all right, that the Stegosaurus were the chief predators of the Cretaceous mammals, and that they must have been quite a lot of them, because by the end of the Cretaceous period or age, there were a lot of mammals, though they were small. These dinosaurs was obviously outwitting mammals. If Dale is right, and his thoughts of evolution has been led them to become intellectual or intelligent dinosaurs, dinosaurs, as he refers to them as. All right. So this is how allegedly the dinosaurs looked. And notice the eyes. There's another book by Dr. Michael Mangan. The book is called More Sensational Than Jurassic Park: Who Lies Sleeping? The Dinosaur Heritage and the Extinction of Man. Right? This is actually from Fox News. They reported a study that space aliens might resemble super intelligent dinosaurs. Where they got that from? Well, what we found is that the artist concept of the Kentucky lizard man. Reports in this category began in the 1950s and most notably in 1955. And there's a report of a Black woman, a Morbitis, shooting a reptilian back in the 1950s. All right. And it says a report from Ohio River near Evansville, Indiana, where a creature left a green handprint on a swimmer's leg. Older reports includes reptilian devils 10 feet tall with glowing red eyes in the 1940s in the Ohio Valley. And reports occurred throughout the area in Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio on both sides of the river. Similar sitting and experiences have been reported in Oklahoma and Texas Panhandle area, even coming out of Kentucky in the 1970s. Some reporting older and native traditions are also older. There are also similar traditions both in South America, where the movie Creature from the Black Lagoon was supposed to have come from, and in Florida, where it was actually filmed. So we have Christopher Davis here, encountered the lizard man of Bishopville, South Carolina on June 30th, 1988. Now, I lived just miles away, all right? I lived like about an hour or so away from Bishopville, right? When this story came out, June 30th, 1988, all right? I was getting ready to go to college. It was the summer. We just got out of high school. I was getting ready to go to college. Matter of fact, I was in East, in Elizabethtown at the community college, all right? But here it is, right here. Minaji, appreciate you. Hopefully I got that name right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, I can't see the percent. I can't see the.
Joseph.
Huh?
Mendaji Joseph.
Mendaji Joseph, thank you. Appreciate that. Much love for that super chat. All right, so right here, it tells you about the lizard man in South Carolina. Answers to Bigfoot. All right, so this is how allegedly it looked, and this is him actually in the car. To the left here, this is a drawing, one of the original casts taken in 1988. This is actually how the foot looked. Right, even the Army Corps of Engineers, Colonel Robert Cooper encountered a Bishopville lizard man when he was driving on a road along skateboard swamp one night. The colonel and his wife, Cecilia, who was returning home from a wedding rehearsal, no liquor was served. When he saw what is described as a half-man, half-dinosaur running alongside his car, he called out to Cecilia, who was sleeping at the time, to wake up and look at the remarkable creature. Just as she awoke from her slumber, the lizard man veered away from the road and ran off into the trees. Colonel Cooper reported the event to the sheriff Trudell's and drew the above image of what he had seen. The colonel never publicly spoke about his encounter. When he finally decided to do an interview about it, a reporter just prior to the interview, he had a heart attack and died. Dead man tells no tales. You get it? All right. So we know that Dr. Max Wittenhofer, father of the aquatic ape theory, all right, and one of the great scientists of the 20th century, the British marine biologist, Sir Alexander Clavering Hardy, lend important credence to the aquatic ape hypothesis. So they understand that there was some type of mixing in which that took place. Well, we understand that too, because did marine geologists capture this video feature of an aquatic humanoid or mermaid? There it is. This was published May 26, 2014. Arjun Walia. This is actually a mermaid that was seen in the waters. All right, and as you see the web hands, it means the feet was also webbed. All right, and it's very similar to the eyes in which that we showed you of the dinosaur here. See, dinosaurs, these are the land ones, or rather in the earth ones, the inner earth. Right, as well as also reptinoid or reptilian to the left. And then the fact that we used to wear as part of the Dogon, the Dagon, we used to wear the fish gear, symbolic once again to the DNA, in particular of the sperm and the various genetics in which that is encased in the sperm, or I should say in the semen of the sperm. All right, you don't believe this, then we have several genetic so-called defects in which that occurs. You have cyanomelia, alternatively known as mermaid syndrome, which is a rare congenital deformity in which the legs are fused together, giving them the appearance of a mermaid tail, as the nickname suggests. And this condition is found in approximately 1 out of every 100,000 live births. Then you have webbed toes and hands, right? The condition for the webbed toes, common name is sidily, affecting the feet. It is characterized by a fusion of 2 or more digits of the feet. This is normal in many birds known as ducks, amphibious, such as frogs, and mammals, such as kangaroos. In humans, it is considered unusual, occurring in approximately 1 in 2,000 to 200 2,500 live births. Now that's deep, because obviously this is much more occurring than even the mermaid syndrome. But we have genetic defects, as they're called, but yet overstand. Just like you had sea turtles, you have land turtles, right? Because the shell is so good streamlined, sea turtles cannot retract their heads or flippers to protect themselves from predators. Although the earliest sea turtles evolved from the terrestrial turtles. All right, so that means that the sea turtles left who was once on land, went into the oceans. All right. This is what we postulate here with the aquatic humanoid or mermaid, merman. Remember that aquatic ape scenario. We won't get to it. Keep going. So the Zulu claims that Earth as their sixth world in this, this seventh world. In their sixth world, the planet Mars, the forerunners of Zulu and all South African tribes were severely threatened by a powerful foe from another world, and saw that the chances of saving themselves was slim indeed. They proceeded to prepare their weapons and then went one step further in an attempt to save the race. The pharaohs of all the women were impregnated by the menfolk and then placed in circular flying vehicles, each with 3 wheels. This space vehicle was known throughout Central and Southern Africa as the Merkaba, or the Merkaba, which set off course to Earth, and thus were the women transported to safely on this planet to give birth to our offsprings and continue the race. This is from the Zulu bone oracle, Ulafudu, and this actually are the words of Khadirah Mutua, Africans' hidden history, all right, in the Zulu bone oracle. Now, do we have any fact that of this Mars connection? Yeah, scientists discovered that the human circadian rhythm is set to the solar daylight cycle of Mars. Coincidence? No, I don't think so. Right, 1976 from the Viking, frame 35A72, NASA images of Sedona. Notice the quality of this raw footage image compared to NASA's new 1998 data shows here. Is something wrong here? No. Face on Mars. Not just the face, pyramids on Mars. So we know that not only have we existed on this plane, but we also existed on Sirius, as we just went over. We also existed on Earth. So we know that we are being located and relocated on every planet in this solar system, in this galaxy, in this universe, right? Khadirah Mutua speaks that the Bentwanta or the Benwana people, who are known as the ostrich people, are from Mars in Africa. This is why they have this genetic defect, as it is called, of the ostrich feet. Right? They're from Mars. Now, you don't understand the signs of the Merkaba, right? You have, it's known in esoteric knowledge in ancient Egypt, Temeri, Kemet. Merkaba means Mer, light, Ka, spirit, Ba, body or soul. The configuration of the star tetrahedron is formed within the first 8 cells of the body, which is known as the agonads, right? The agonads, which means 8. These are the first 8 cells, which is symbolic to the 8 netures or 8 gods. Right? From Atum, you get Net, Nut, Geb. And from Nut and Geb, well, you have Shu and Tefnut. And from Shu and Tefnut, you have Nut and Geb. And then from Nut and Geb, you have Sar or Set, Set and Nebhet. Those 8 symbolizes the 8 cells of the body in which that you go through blastal pause and they'll remain fixed at the base of the spine throughout one's life. These 8 cells never change your whole entire life, but the other 76 trillion cells in your body changes over a 7-year period. So every 7 years, you're a new person. The star tetrahedron also the models of the energetic body of the human being, the blending of heaven and earth, male and female, yin and yang. The tetrahedron is ambiguous throughout nature because of the 64 tetrahedron grid is the structure of the vacuum. Hence, the reason why you have 64 permutations of DNA, 22 coding, 42 non-coding. The Hebrew word Kabbalah, which also means in the Bible chariot, or means to ride. La 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 la. Tupac, old school. You want to ride or die. All right, is used in Ezekiel to refer to the throne chariot of God, the 4-wheel vehicle driven by the 4 kayats, or hayats, living creatures. Right? All of this is talking about your chakras. So the vehicle in which that they're talking about, in which that the Martians came in on, who looks like you, except for the feet, but here you go. All right? The Zulu, matter of fact, the word Amazulu means star people or sky people. That's what it means. All right, so ascension is achievable when you unify through your heart. All right, center all your chakras into one and balance the threefold flame within your heart, where God is through the universal macabre of love and multiple light body activation. So see, this is where this correlates to what we just finished reading. And this is from Yogi Sharananda. Transform the body into light ship. You can imagine yourself as a pebble being dropped in a pond and the ripples of the splash radiating outward from you in an even greater circle. This method expands the auric field in a disc shape. The represents a galaxy observed sideways. Now imagine yourself in space being dropped in the etheric sea and at the speed of thought, 24 billion miles per second. The vibrations of such a drop sends forth trembles of cosmic waves, the ripples, that ripples the universe. Begin humming, a buzzing sound like a hummingbird or bee, drone or bumblebee, fly, mosquito or gnat. Zzz. Then tune all lights inward, making the hum come outside of the body to inside the body. This is done until you feel the whole body vibrate, illuminating the 8 auric. Check this out, the 8 auric and the chakra points or nodes. This is the science of healing by Imam Isa al-Hatiyamati, known as Dr. York. So this is what you even see in the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and other painters during the 1500s. You see a person inside of this ship. Of course, the Albion will tell you that this is a metal ship, representation of a UFO metal ship. No, that's talking about the macabre. But if you don't understand that you are everywhere in the solar system, we just verify that you are on Mars, as Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke of, that you exist on every planet. But here, Norman Bertram, who the author and doctor of who Rings of Saturn, NACA and NSA member, right? He said that Norman Bertram now, he said he described seeing a 7-foot black people in giant ship vehicles in Saturn. All right, the woman in the video say dark-skinned people after the NASA guy say black people. All right, he said he clearly said, she says dark skin and he says clearly no, black. All right, so Ichiro Kaku Born January 24th, 1947. He's one of the American theoretical physicists, futurists, and popularizer of science. Haku is also the professor of theoretic physics at the City College of New York, CUNY, Graduate Center. And he also is a writer of many books, and you can find out more about him. But in a seminal paper published in 1964 in the Journal of Sovereign Astronomy, Russian astrophysicist Nikolai Kardashev theorized that advanced civilizations must therefore be grouped according to three types. The first, 1, 2, and 3, which has mastered planetary, stellar, and galactic forms of energy, respectively. All right. And here they are. The human civilization is currently somewhere below type 1. This is what Michio Kaku says now. 0 civilization, essentially our civilization. A type 0 civilization has only just began to tap planetary resources such as solar power, geothermal power, and wind power. They don't even want to move from fossil fuel. Most of the power generation is still based on non-reusable fossil fuel resources. For example, oil, coal, and natural gases. All right. And this is really where Trump is trying to keep the people at. All right. Type 1 civilization. These civilizations can effectively control the entire resources of their planet. They can predict weather patterns, earthquakes very accurately, and even control them by using artificial induced greenhouse effects and space-based lasers. This is what they're trying to do right now with the HARP system and Gwen, Woodpecker, and the various other weather modification weapons, as well as also with the chemtrails. And you can see Buck Rogers' television series from back in the days. All right. Type 1 civilization can actually conceivably halt an ice age or bursts of the sun by hence adding reflective metal such as aluminum up into the sky, as they are doing through chemtrails, in order to halt the sunlight from coming down into the sky to you as a melanated person who needs the sun. Type 2 civilization has extended its power to the entire solar system by harnessing the power of their sun through Dyson spheres, having colonized at least extensively explored all the planets within the solar system. They are a largely spacefaring race and have already mounted expeditions to other stars using interstellar craft. Once again, interstellar craft. The best interstellar craft that you can use is your own force field, as I just told you about, which is your own macabre. This is similar to what you see on Star Trek TV and the movie sequels. Right? Type 3 civilization. At the cusp of their power, Type 3 civilizations span entire galaxies, having colonized all the stars by wave after waves of interstellar craft. They can harness the power of galaxies. Astrophysicists theorize that this may be done by exploiting the fact that black holes can be used as a source of energy as they slowly evaporate via Hawking's radiation. By utilizing the millions of black holes that are believed to reside within galactic nuclei, Type 3 civilization would have significant powers to conduct truly universes, changing high energy physics experiments and examining matter down to the Planck length, which is once again shown in Star Wars movie sequels. At this point, the exact potential of Type 3 civilization becomes unclear due to the hazy knowledge of the ultra high energy physics. It is conceivable, as physicists such as Michio Kaku and Lawrence Krauss believe, that such energies can unravel matter down to the superstring length and thus possibly access other dimensions. And this is what you will see with these extraterrestrials who are able to blink in and out of this dimension as they go back into their own dimensions. Or as you see on the Flash, the TV series Flash, the taken from the DC cartoon or comics, they show you multiverses or what they call parallel planets or parallel worlds. However, we must stress that there's only informed conjecture, and frankly, we will never know what type 3 civilization will be able to do until we either become one or encounter one. Right, so here you have humans are not from Earth, as we just finished showing you. Ellis Silver, PhD. All right, he says the human genome, the genetic codes in every human cell contains 23 DNA molecules, which contains from 500,000 to 2.5 million nucleotide pairs. DNA molecules of this size are 1.7 to 8.5 centimeters long when on coil and about 5 centimeters on average. You have about 100 trillion or 76 trillion actually cells in your body. So if you stretch the DNA in the cells out end by end, they would stretch about 744 million miles. The moon is only about 250,000 miles away. So all your DNA will stretch to the moon and back almost 1,500 times. The sun is allegedly 93 million miles away. So your DNA will stretch there and back about 4 times. Interestingly, not more than 1.5% of the human genome contains DNA that actually help, see this, help build us. That maps for proteins, as it is called. All right, so check out what it just said. Only 1.5%. The other 98.5% is junk. All right, mostly melanin and the non-coded 42 amino acids, or the 42 amino acids, which would give you 64. 22 plus 42 is 64. Permutations of DNA. All right. And this is accumulated through the evolutionary process. For example, 90% of the yeast genes has counterparts in humans, and there are 223 genes in humans that match those in bacteria, but aren't found in intermediate organisms. Apparently, these genes jump directly from bacteria to human, or vice versa. So there's 233 alien genes, plus 4,000 plus genetic defects in humans. So this is when we get into the fact of, let's say, a third civilization, type 3 civilization, which has the ability to span entire galaxies, having colonized all the stars by waves after waves of interstellar craft. They can harness the power of galaxies. All right. So 14 billion years ago is, or 13 billion 700 million. All right. So here we have suggested origin of the universe as we see it from this dimension. Right. So everything basic of the origin of the universe, energy, origin of everything, the energy of the origin of the universe, failure of the so-called before the Big Bang, multiverse, vacuums, fields, space, time, so forth and so on. All of that existed during this time period. Proto-galaxies, 100 million years, so forth and so on. You had 13 billion years ago, or 13 billion 200 million years ago, formations of the earliest known galaxy. All right, you have 12 billion years ago, the clusters of galaxies, structures of the universe. You have, check this out now, 4 billion 680 million years ago, formation of the Earth, the solar system, sun, all right, so forth and so on. And 4 billion years ago, the oldest rock, all right. Now, all of this is so all of this is already formed. However, when you get the book Forbidden Archaeology, The Hidden History of the Human Race, by Michael Cremore and Richard L. Thompson, and you get Strange Artifacts, a Source of Ancient Man, compiled by William R. Corliss, Volume M1, right? We know that in the book, Forbidden Archaeology, he says in this book, so controversially that it is literally shaking the very foundation of mainstream archaeological science. Dr. Richard L. Thompson, a Cornell University PhD, all right, and mathematician, and his research associate, Michael Cremore, have meticulously documented and scientifically verified human-made archaeological artifacts so ancient that it's literally shattered all known to this world archaeological time scales and frames of references. So this is what this lecture is about, is because we are here to continue the shattering and show you how you existed, all right? Not hundreds, thousands, millions, but billions of years into trillions of years, as Onibilash Muhammad said. This well-researched 828-page study titled Forbidden Archaeology, The Hidden History of the Human Race, upset so many mainstream archaeologists upon its initial release in 1993 that it was banned from the Archaeological Research Center of various universities and other archaeological research institutions. Notwithstanding the fact that no archaeologist has been able to successfully challenge the findings in the book. They have not been able to. Because over the past 200 years, the scientific establishment has selectively ignored, suppressed, and forgotten some remarkable artifacts and bones that contradict the dominant view of the human origin and iniquity. Evolutionary prejudices serve as a source of informational filtering system that has left us with a radically incomplete set of facts for building our ideas about human origin. The hidden history of the human race is a call for change in today's arbitrarily rigid mindset, deploying an unexpectedly great number of convincing facts, deeply illuminated with critical analysis. Readers will find themselves compelled to rethink our understanding of human origin, identity, and destiny. This is what we're going to do, right? Because everybody this is a challenge to Dogonism, in which that is within there, within the book, Forbidden Archaeology and the Hidden History of the Human Race. Just a dozen years after Charles Darwin published The Origin of Species in 1859, growing number of scientists and other educational persons considered it impossible, indeed laughable, to suppose that humans were anything other than the modified descendants of an ancestral line of ape-like creatures. According to Darwinists, the first undisputed fossil evidence for life on Earth goes back about 2 billion years. They say that the first ape and monkey appeared about 40 to 50 million years ago. The first ape man, called the Australopithecus, who was found in Africa, I might add, so really that's a misnomer, should be African Loipithecus, if they're going to say that, about 4 million years ago, right? You know how to watch the, oh yeah, indeed. Thank you. Please, appreciate that, chat. Terry. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, brother Terry.
He said, United nation of Moors forever. Unity is the key, and sacrifice is hard, but it's needed for the next generation.
Indeed it is. All right, so right here, these who follow by other 8 men called Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and a Neanderthal, right? The first human beings of moderate type Homo sapiens sapien appeared only 100,000 to 200,000 years ago. This is what it said. Civilization, according to modern scientists, is less than 10,000 years old. Those who blindly follow Darwin's idea on human evolution do not see the patterns of suppression inherited in scientific investigation. However, Michael A. Cremore and Richard L. Thompson, Dr. Richard L. Thompson, of the Baki Vedanta Institute, investigated hundreds of scientific reports showing that humans or near humans were living millions of years ago in the Pleistocene, Mesolocene, and earlier periods. This evidence was not regarded as an anomalous by scientists who introduced it in the late 1900s and or 19th and early 20th century. Since they are compelling theories of human origin, they are compatible with this evidence. Then, with the development of the modern theories that humans like ourselves evolved within the past 200,000 years in the late Pleistocene, this evidence becomes highly unacceptable and it vanishes from sight. Forbidden archaeology, the hidden history of the human race, represents a representative sample of this anomalous evidence, suggesting that humans have been on the earth for millions of years, just as the ancient Sanskrit writings of the Vedic literature describe. The Vedic histories inform us that the humans have existed since the beginning of the day of Brahma, almost 2 billion years ago. Credo and Thompson concluded that even the conventional accepted evidence does not offer a cohesive picture of the missing link. Indeed, the multiplicity of proposed evolutionary linkages among the human hominids in Africa suggests a very confusing scheme of human evolution. They call for a drastic revising of the new dominant assumption about human origin. And this is what we're going to do tonight and tomorrow night, because we're going to keep going until we finish this whole presentation. All right, there's 400 slides on here, so we got to get it. All right, so this is our way of ending all debates about the origin of people on the planet, where did the so-called pale man, Albion white man comes from, the Asian, so forth and so on. But as you see, first we have to deal with you, because you are the oldest people on the face of the planet. All right. So, all right, D Brown, appreciate that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that super chat. That's what I'm talking about. Much appreciation to the good people that are, getting something from this presentation. All right. So here we have 4 billion to 3 billion years ago. We have cells, bacteria, photosynthesis, bacterial diseases, bacterial spores, viruses, all of these things. But then all of a sudden, 2.5 billion years ago, and notice how we are using timelines. All right, this is what will be in this presentation that you've never seen before, is the use of timelines, and show you where everything happened and occurred and what happened during that time period with humanity. All right, so 2.5 billion years ago, actually 2.8 billion metal engineered spheres of unknown origin found in Precambrian rock dated to 2.8 billion years ago. Hundreds of spheres, matter of fact, about 200 of them, approximately about 3 centimeters or so in diameter. Some are etched with 3 parallel grooves running around the equator, have been found. 2 types of spheres have been found. One is composed of solid bluish metal with flakes of white. The other is hollow out and filled with a spongy white substance. And they said that the only way in which that these could have been made was in zero gravity. Zero gravity. And so we know for sure that some type of humanoid made these, because who in the hell was smelting metal 2.8 billion years ago? Okay, all right, that's what I thought. Not based on this science. Not based on this science. All right, so here we have from that time supposedly the great oxygen poisoning 2.4 billion years ago. All right, that means when oxygen was more than 35% content, as compared to now, is dwindled down to 21%. And if with this pollution continuing as it is, it might go down to 17. And if it reaches 15, what will happen is that we will all suffocate. All right, that's what will happen. All right, so this is another example of these spheres. And this is actually what it said in the book. A groove sphere from the Precambrian South African mine have found hundreds of metallic spheres well underground, at least one of which has 3 parallel grooves running around it, around the equator. According to scientists, the spheres are found in pyrophilic rock, which is mined in Western Transvaal, South Africa. So here it is in South Africa. We have found the oldest relics on the planet, which is 2.8 billion years ago. My assumption is that Europeans, who is called African, or African, all right, Afrikanen, whatever they call themselves, were not there 2.8 billion years ago. So that leaves them out, since they only been on the planet 6,000 years. And we'll get to that. The spheres are not natural objects, and their origin is unknown. They obviously was created by intelligent beings. Yes, very intelligent beings. A word, Straight Panther, appreciate that. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Now go to the final call. The final call, right? Undeniable Truth. This is by Robert Muhammad, right? Who's found some fascinating information, the same information that we just dropped on. He speaks about it in the final call. All right. He's a Chicago-based freelance writer and member of the Nation of Islam. But Brother Muhammad speaks about the same information. Right. So intelligent, what was it right here? He says intelligent indeed. Because if we take what we have learned from Honorable Elijah Muhammad, what have been discovered in the fields of molecular genetics. Oh, thank you, Brother Clifton. Brother Bey, appreciate that. Much respect, much respect. So we take what we have learned from Honorable Elijah Muhammad, what we have been discovered in the field of molecular genetics, and add to the evidence. In this case, we begin to see a picture emerging from technologically advanced Black people in what is called Africa, who had mastered the metallurgical sciences, the science of separating and combining metals, close to 3 billion years ago, literally billions of years before the Triassic and the Jurassic periods of the so-called dinosaurs. Wow. Even the dinosaurs weren't even on the planet when we was doing these types of things. Isn't that miraculous? So this is why the so-called reptilians are not the oldest species on the planet. We are. All right. In 2005, James Sidney discovered a giant fossilized footprint embedded in billions-of-year-old rock granite in California. Billions of years old. Billion years old granite. A footprint in California, Cleveland National Forest. Okay. Now, you don't believe of our existence that we already had technology way beyond billions of years ago, and we talking about the third civilization. Well, we have proof that there was a mothership found on the dark side of the moon in 1971 by NASA, all right, with 2 Anunnakian empresses pilot spacecraft over 1 billion years old, full of gold. Oh, thank you, Kamsin. Thank you, Kamsin. Thank you, Goddess. Appreciate that. Much respect. All right, so right here it says full of gold, advanced technology, test tube beings during Apollo 14 through 21 mission. So ancient history of the golden skin. You have the golden skin of the Sand tribes, who's known as the world's most ancient race trace in DNA study. Actually, they're not the oldest. The Bushmen are not the oldest, but they are connected to the oldest people, who are the Twa people. But we'll get to that. But which is also connected to the gods. All right, which the ancient Egyptians, the Atlanteans, and the ancient Lemurians all was part of that science. But that's another story. We get to all of that. But here it is, 1.5 billion years ago, gold-skinned woman spacecraft found on the moon. All right. Ancient Egyptian texts say that the gods and the goddesses have gold skin. Over 1.5 billion years ago, gold-skinned people came to Earth in these huge spaceships. All right. Epetesu.com. All right. Here is the sister right here. Right. Them lips, the locks in her hair. All right. The broad nose, obviously melanated, a sister. And this dates back. This is how they found her. She had these apparatus attached to her lips, nose, well, mouth, her eyes, as well as also her third eye, as you see here. So this so-called black woman body was found on the moon. They could never talk to you about it. Why? Because it dates back to 1 billion years old. 1 billion years old. Matter of fact, 1.5 billion years ago. Right? And understand now, we're talking about probes, not necessarily scientists, right? Right? Because we can't really say that they actually went to the moon themselves. All right. I'm sorry, but they did do probes. They did send space probes up to collect information, all types of things, no doubt about it. But on the footage, they'll try to show you as if the Albions was scientists inside of the spaceship and all these different types of things and all this. I can't say that one way or another. I personally don't believe, because I know that they don't have melanin to go beyond the Van Allen belt, you know, and that you had to be, matter of fact, the melanated woman is the best, has the best possibility of being able to go beyond the Van Allen belt. But not only she's melanated, but the density of her bones is just right in order to actually go through the Van Allen belt. Now, understand now, many of the flat earthers say that there is water in space, which, I mean, it makes sense because they are finding water on all of the planets. And they've also found water on comets, so forth and so on. So we know that these things are true, right? So we have Dr. Khalid Muhammad, the general, all right? The general, Dr. Khalid Muhammad. He says, Africa is not our home, Africa is our throne, and from our throne we ruled our home, which is 196,940,000 square miles of the planet Earth. You want to claim a spot or the whole damn thing? Well, we want the whole thing, so we know that Pangea, in which that occurred around 200, it says right here, the most recent of the series of supercontinents on Earth formed around 270 million years ago and broke apart about 200 million years ago. So within 70 million years, it broke apart. The continents now, as we now know it, broke apart. And it says this is Pangea begins to break up, right? This is from BBC News. And it says, at the time, most of the dry land on Earth was joined into one single landmass that covered nearly a third of the planet's surface. The giant ocean that surrounded the continent is now known as Pandalacia. And it says, it goes on, all right? It says, this Permian mass extinction, which wiped out an estimate of 96% species about 248 million years ago, was a major event during this time. So this is when we get the so-called flood story from, not 6,000 years ago. We're talking about the actual flood story in which that happened during the Permian mass extinction, which wiped out 96% species. All right. Here, broke up into, as we know, the land broke up into this, as we know, and actually the map in which that we always see is actually upside down. All right, this is more so of a real map, and actually the Mercator map as actually Africa is actually 5 times larger than the United States. Right, you can actually set the United States in Africa 5 times. Right, this goes back to Pangea, in which that is spoken of within chapter 47, Egypt, the capital empire of the domain of Africa. And it speaks about old man Cush, and it said to divide the land between the father and son, the domain of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his family or father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of the brethren from Asia and the Holy Land sojourned there, joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle, inhabit northwest Africa. They was the founders and the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittites, and Amorite brothers who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitants or habitation extended in southwest Africa, across great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. All right. So he's telling you that we already existed on the land masses prior to 270 million years ago. And he's right, based on forbidden archaeology, what we just finished seeing, all of this is proven. All right. So here you have the Peters projection map, which is a true representation of the land area and the size of the continents and countries. Then you have the Mercator projection, incorrect, false representation of the land mass. And as you see here, Greenland is gigantic, right? Large as Africa on the Mercator map. No, wrong. All right. So here you have an overlay and see how deceptive that the Albion has been concerning the world map. We know that China, India, West Europe, East Europe, Mexico, and the United States, and Iberia, and Japan can all fit in Africa. All right, just that simple. All right, just that simple. All right, so we talking about Earth grids, we talking about ley lines, we talking about the fact that with these Earth grids and ley lines, even when you show, or even when we know that the pyramids are set up in the center of the Earth, in the Giza Plateau. This is what we've been taught. You can get the Nile Valley Contribution to Civilization by Anthony T. Broder. He states it in there. So we know that the Giza Plateau, the 3 pyramids, all right, was set up in the center of the Earth, in particular of Cheops or Khufu, was set up in the center of the Earth, the largest one. All right, so we know that Africa had to have been, based on the ley lines and as well as also of the Earth grid, a powerful area to have to incarnate into. And there's many other areas to incarnate into, but that definitely was one. So we have the original Australians, the original Asians, the original people of Latin descent, the original Filipinos, the original Indians, the original people of India, all right, the Jarara. So we have all of these people, all right, all the dark-skinned people. And we're talking about near the equator, all right, near the equator. Now, this is when you get into the Charles Darwin's information, and we're gonna see how we knock this shit out the box. You have the Australopithecus, you have the Zinjanthropus, you have the Homo habilis, you have the Homo Rudolph Hindus, you have the Homo ergaster and the Homo erectus, all right? And all of this is talking about stage 1, you have the Homo habilis found in East Africa. Stage 2, Homo erectus, upright human being. You have the Homo Hildeberg Genesis. You have the Homo Neanderthal lensis. You have the Cro-Magnon, all right? And the Cro-Magnon man, you know, is supposed to be the Homo sapien. And this is where the split happened. Homo sapien produced, the wise beings supposedly produced the Cro-Magnon and the Neanderthal as they stay here, which is stage 3 from 200,000 BC. All right, all of this, Cro-Magnon, Homo sapiens sapien, wise human. By 30,000 BCE, they replaced the Neanderthals. Why? Well, we find that this here is Lord Pi, and he wrote the book. Everything in which that you've been taught in history is wrong. All right. And this is going to be the last part for tonight's lecture, but definitely we're going to get into the rest of this, and we're going to tie all this information together, I promise. So literalists, creationists who measure creation in terms of 7 days and 7,000 years, or human duration is 6,000 years, adding up all the begats of the Old Testament, simply are trying to fit facts in their predetermined requirements. Yet rock strata, pollen, astronomical relationships, half-lives, DNA, and numerous indicators are testified to millions of years, billions of years antiquity. Despite the reportings of Christian creationists, Kent Harvin, perhaps there is a place for divine creation, but not for the form that is generally profit. The validity of Pi's rejection of evolution is not all that complex and well simplified to either further of this principle. No macro evolution has ever taken place. All right? It has never taken place. All right, so this leaves us only with micro evolution. So the simple modification of size and shapes of a beak, but not the changing of the gills or wings, for that matter, even the change of a bacterium. A bacteria mutates, but they do not alter from being a parasite that finding food for themselves. They remain essentially the same for billions of years. Only micro evolution takes place. So I say that in order to go into question and answering.
Have you ever heard of the Minoans?
Yeah, the Minoans. Yes, of course. Of course. Mm-hmm. Did you have a question about the Minoans?
See, you got a question? How do you spell Chikori? The Chikori.
The Chikori, Chitauri. The Chikori. Right. I believe that was right. If not, I'll show it. I'll show it on another slide. The Chikahori. Mm-hmm.
I said people were saying they have to
go. Okay. All right. So come back tomorrow. We will be getting in. It's going to be between 8 and 9. That's the time that we're starting to do these classes now, between 8 and 9. So that's what we're going to try to do, between 8 and 9. All right. So we're going to say peace to everyone. We love y'all. And as we always say, continue now for days, weeks, months, years to come. We're moving towards our most cherished goals of health, wealth, knowledge of ourselves, protection and security, all good things in life, full contentment and better economic conditions. Every action, enterprise, and endeavor in which we wish to be involved is bringing increasing rewards. Positive. We're experiencing more and more joy, much more frequently. We are successful and have abundance, so much so that we are able to help share with those who are sincere along the way. We're moving closer towards the oneness of God and Goddess and the full release of our higher inner selves. Ashe. Peace. We out, y'all.